Welcome to Your First Choice, a podcast where guests talk about why they love their favorite piece of media and how it's made them them. Whether it's an album, movie, or TV show, it's all up for discussion with me, your host, Braedyn Funke. Oh, hi there. It's me, your host, Braedyn Funke, just taking it easy on this Florida Panhandle beach. So peaceful, so relaxing. Oh my goodness, it's the Floribama Shore crew.
I don't matter. It doesn't matter,
he
bro.
didn't. He really was.
Mean what you mean? No, you took it as disrespect. Whatever. You can backtrack all you want. Well, then why the up?
That's right, the first episode of Your First Choice will feature a discussion of Floribama Shore, a show that features 8 friends living in Panama City, Florida that live and party together while simultaneously getting up to all sorts of other hijinks. It's a reality TV show and a guilty pleasure of sorts for my friends Brandon Plummer and Malik. They've bonded over their love of the show as it's shown them how to be a little more extroverted while simultaneously showing them not how to act. Well, I suppose they can take it from here. All right, I'm here with Malik and Brandon Plummer, 2 teammates and friends of mine, on the first ever episode of Your First Choice. I invited these 2 on because they have an interesting dynamic and a very interesting pick for a first show to kind of talk about. They chose to talk about Floribama Shore, which is perhaps one of the most interesting reality shows I've ever watched. It's a way to put it. But yeah, I don't know. How are you guys doing today? How are you feeling about this episode?
First say thank you for letting us come out and come on your podcast today. It's one of the shows that me and him both kind of connected on how kind of traumatic.
Yeah, it's like our lifestyles kind of connect, like a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But we're glad to be here, man. I love podcasting.
No, I mean, it's fair. I mean, it is fair. It is it seems like a college show in that I think these people are 30 years old and they just never really left college mentally.
No, you're not.
No, some are a little bit younger.
So
yeah.
Some are older, some are younger. That's what makes it interesting because they have the older group that act like kids, and they have the younger kids that act like adults, and it's like whoa, it blows your mind. So that's one of the interesting points about it. I'll say that.
Yeah, he's definitely right. It's when you get an age range and you put them at the end of the day. This is on MTV, and it's kind of been replaced Jersey Shore kind of mentality. So kind of a very out there lifestyle. It's kind of putting that narrative out there that it's just like
it's going from Jersey Shore, East Coast lifestyle, Jersey, yeah, I'm Jersey, down to the Southern mentality of their morals. I think their morals play a big part of the show, and that's what makes it great. As we'll get into it.
So for you guys, I wanted to ask, how did you guys find the show, and do you remember what you were doing specifically, kind of in your life when you found this show? Was it this kind of interesting revelation to find it, or was it just more something that came on and you just were wow, okay, I have to keep watching?
Well, I found the show when it first came out, so I'm gonna say about around 2018. I was living back home in between seasons of junior hockey during the summertime, and I was just doing landscaping for the whole summer, and I would just come home, want to watch something funny, and so I throw it on, and I'm what is this? And my mind was just so dull at the moment. I just need something to kick it up. And it was so outrageous. I fell in love. I fell in love right there, and I binge watched the whole season, the whole night. Went to work the next day, started watching clips. I thought it was hilarious. Then after that, years go by. I'm in college now. I have a girlfriend now. We're watching TV. Come back home from school, and I go on Hulu. What do I see again? Floribama Shore. I never thought the show would last 5 seasons. It went 5 seasons,
Yes.
5 unreal seasons, and I was like,
Unreal.
I have to pick it back up again. I started watching again. And that's when I introduced to Brandon, and Brandon started watching it.
So when did you start watching it?
Yeah, 2019 actually. Yeah, me and him kind of have the same kind of lifestyle or whatever. You do junior hockey in the summertime. You working all day or whatever. And he kind of told me about it, and I was like, hey, it's kind of very dramatic, but at the same part, it kind of threw the episode, you can there's always something interesting going on. So it kind of sparked interest. And like him, he said, unfortunately, once you watch one, you watch two. They eventually get all watched. So, kind of followed his footsteps. But yeah, that's how I got introduced to it.
Yeah, so you guys' like initial reaction at the time to the show was that like it was like funny.
Yeah,
it was funny and like it was exciting. Like when you're working long hours, like there's nothing going on. You're like mowing grass all day. You're not partying. Like you don't get to go see out to some parties like you do. Like I would do now, like going out in college. You see at bars and stuff. But like when you're like underage, you don't see this when you're just mowing lawns and you see this. You're like, wow, is that how it's really like? But then like as you go later on, it's like, oh, it's not really like that. So that's what makes it even funnier. Yeah. As you rewatch it.
Yeah, like once, like you said, like you can sit back and watch that, and then you think you have a perspective where you think, ethically or morally, this doesn't seem like it's for everyone,
Yeah.
And it's interesting how they, over time, they kind of bring that show, and MTV is kind of one of them. They have them shows that are kind of more, not for the younger generation, but they find interest in kind of the new age or whatever you could say. So it was like a show that kind of came out of nowhere, but it kind of grabbed people like us to watch the whole.
It's stuck. Yeah. No one thought it was stuck. Yeah, it's stuck.
But Braedyn, can we ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
How many episodes did you get to?
I watched two. I watched 2 episodes, and we'll talk about that later in terms of like the notes I have on it, because I think it is funny to discuss it a little bit because it gives people an idea of like what this show and what these people are like, because it is really unique in terms of like where you're watching it and you're just like what is going on?
Yeah, being from Canada, you wouldn't even know.
That's why we want to know.
Yeah.
The southern mentality.
The southern mentality.
Somewhere else, you've
the
never
Gulf.
seen it.
You're at the Gulf. You got the warm weather. It's out there as one of them places to kind of go. As some people say, there are a couple go-getters that live in that house.
No, I would say I wrote this down when I was watching it. It's like how people from like Canada and the UK like imagine Americans are.
That's it. Yeah,
like
that's why it sticks, because it goes internationally. Yeah.
Because it's like a theme park. It's like an American theme park of like, this is just all the stereotypes. They're just like mucking pizza, like they're eating pizza every day. They're drinking all the time. Their parents are there and they're drinking and they're like yelling at each other, and it's just so loud and like obnoxious, but it's like a stereotype of this like American culture. So I think it was really like, interesting to watch those 2 episodes. But so for you guys, like, what about your guys' like personalities leads you guys to like be interested in this kind of show? Like, you guys always had like a sharp sense of humor that way, or what?
So I think the sense of humor is good. I really think it's kind of where your personality, you kind of either, I wouldn't say it changes anything. I would say you look at it from an aspect of, well, all right, these people are like this, they do that or whatever. So it kind of gives you the do's and don'ts, in my opinion. I mean, yes, some of the things they say is kind of funny. It shows like a very outgoing person, a lot of extroverts. So, I mean, that you could say...
Well, for you, that's relatable.
Yeah, you could say that could fulfill my category of things that it could help me with, but...
I'd say the way it relates to me is, like not, like, shooting down on anybody here, but, like, the way they act is not how I would act.
No.
In life. Like,
No.
How I would carry myself.
No, like, of course, but there's something about what they do.
I'm getting into it. And so, like, growing up from where I'm from Downriver, Michigan, like, it's kind of very blue collar. And this is what these people remind me of. They're kind of blue collar. And, like, their thought process is what I've seen throughout my whole life, like going through school, people like me, their thought process, and like I've interacted with like the people with these thought process. I think that's the way it kind of relates to me in some way. It's kind of vague to say that, but when I like rewatch it, I kind of think of home, you know. It's kind of a weird way to think of home, and it makes me laugh. You know?
Yeah, no, it is like, I guess if you've seen people like that, it's a little easier to like be like, oh no, I kind of get why this is happening.
And I mean, it's the South. That's called redneck revenue or whatever.
Has like the show like influenced you guys in terms of like your personalities or anything like that? Like, did you pick up any like quotes from the show that you might say, or like, has there been any kind of like...
Oh yeah, Jeremiah said, he said this. Why stay inside when you can go out every night and hound.
Hey, that's the way we
And
live.
it took me a minute. It took me a minute to like kind of understand like what that even meant, because at that
Unbox
time
that.
he was like, I hate to say, he was intoxicated. This show kind of shows a very outgoing party, kind of live in a house.
So you think it made you a little more outgoing?
I mean,
Like, not like they are,
I mean,
but-
I was curious what a hound was and how to get a hound, so
You're
I
hounding.
kept.
Yeah. I'll say like beginning of this year, I didn't go out a lot. Then I started watching Floribama Shore. I'm like, man, I'm in college, man. I need to start enjoying life more. Go out.
Yeah.
And like picking up like funny things from the show. Like, yeah, I might throw a little southern accent around, talk like start like fighting with someone with a southern accent. I do it to my girlfriend all the time. I start waving my finger. It's kind of fun, Just do that.
Yeah, so like you guys mentioned finding this show kind of like in the summers when you're working. Was there any like specific times where like you felt like the show like gave you a laugh when you were having a tough day, or like any time?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Like, it was one of them shows you're laying in bed after a long day, and it's like you're ending your night at 1:30 after doing everything else you had to do. And when you're living a busy life and busy schedule, to say the least, or whatever, you put it on and you can get a couple laughters right in the first, what you could say, 8 minutes.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, yeah, they'll hop right into an argument out of nowhere. Like, oh. And so like, yeah, you'll start laughing out of nowhere. And then like something like right now, like I'll do homework, man, and I'll be typing an essay, throw it on Floribama Shore in the background. Yeah, and I'm mad. I'm like, why am I typing this essay? I'm mad. And then I'll see, they're fighting on the TV, and I'll just look up. It takes my mind off the essay for a minute. I start dying.
Brings your mood up for a bit.
Oh yeah.
That makes sense though. All right, I would like you guys to kind of describe this show to like a newbie, like someone who's never watched a show before, but is like, hey, I want to give this a go. Kind of like describe the show, its dynamics, and its characters a little bit in the way you guys have watching all the 5 seasons of the show.
Okay, I would describe the show as
It's kind of like a redneck Jersey Shore.
it's a
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
It's a redneck Jersey Shore spring break lifestyle. Whatever your thoughts on spring break are,
they're doing spring break forever.
They're doing spring break for 4 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And whatever you think spring break is in your mind, that's what it is. That's what MTV's trying to give to you. That, hey, this is the spring break lifestyle. Go to Panama City Beach, do this, do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would get from it. And the characters I would say they're very entertaining. All of them have something to say. They're all entertaining. Like no one's dull in the show. Like they're very outgoing. They'll speak their mind. Like they don't back down from fights. That's the whole point. Like, well, yeah, we don't back down from fights. Like if they're not fighting with each other, they're fighting with someone in a bar. They're like, we're a house. We stick up together. But like,
And then they're fighting each other like 2 minutes later.
But earlier in the show, they're like, they have this big beef. They're like fighting each other, throwing hands, like throwing stuff around the house, like cussing each other out. Then they'll go out, like still be arguing. Then someone messes with them, and they're like, I'm sticking up for it because we live in the same house.
A lot of characters. You can't really pinpoint, they're all outgoing, but they have their own aspects and realms to how they shape themselves and act in the show.
Yep, and like the house is kind of split between boys and girls too. That's the very interesting part because.
But isn't it really, you say interesting, but here, this is where I kind of have, you look back as we just discussed with Jersey Shore, it kind of seems like it's kind of following the same criteria as Jersey Shore.
I'm guessing it's the same producer.
Yeah, and it's got.
I think so too. It seems
Yeah.
really, really similar
Yeah.
to like that concept.
Yes.
It's just like they cranked. It's a different variety of like
People.
weird
It's
chat,
not
like
the,
weird
it's
people.
Not East Coast, you're not.
It's not like
the East.
Yeah, it's not Jersey like
Yeah,
New York
they're
like
not
trashy
talking-
people. It's like Florida, Alabama trashy people,
Yeah.
which is like a very distinct flavor of trashy
Oh, yeah.
people.
Yes,
so
yes. Well, like there's the two Florida girls in the show. They're very different from Amy, who's from Alabama. She's like straight Southern, lives in the trailer park.
She got that accent to her.
that
you can say.
accent. Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
I want to talk
You
about.
gotta stay for longer.
I want to talk about how like they picked all these people with like a similar background. So Nilsa, she had a husband, she had a miscarriage, and her husband cheated on her. They got divorced. They have Gus. He's from Florida too. He got kicked out by his parents, had a girlfriend. She cheated on him. He went to the house too. Then you have Amy. She had a husband. He abused her for 10 years. He left her. They got divorced. Now she's on the show too. and then you have then the other three are other four are very different. They're not like that, but like I'd like
it's like a certain like
bring that out
kind of person that
they want to bring that into the house. They're trying to spark relationships.
Okay, closing note. I wanted to hear what you guys like, what your pitch would be to someone who's never watched the show, why they should be watching Floribama Shore, and you know how it's benefited you to be watching this show and have consumed it the way you guys have.
My pitch to someone. Wait, can you say the question again?
Yeah. So like, if you were pitching the show to someone to be like, hey, you should watch this show for this reason, and it did this for me, and
I would pitch the kids in high school and be like, hey, this is not how you act. This is not how you act.
Literally.
This is not how you act when you go to a bar. You don't go in a taxi cab and pee and pee in the center console when you don't have a bathroom near you.
Yeah, you can't do that. You just
can't do that. And you don't
happen.
You don't start picking fights with people.
Yeah.
And another thing I take away from it is like, hey, like look at these people. They get along. They can be a family. They can be a family with someone else. Yeah. Whatever path you go on with your life. Hey, remember they always were a family. But my main thing though, I'd give it to the kids and be like, hey, this is not how you act. This is not how you act when you go to college, right? You're gonna end up in trouble. They're not getting in trouble because they have all these producers.
All right. Well, Braedyn, what's your pitch for someone to watch a show and why it would mean, what it's meant to you, kind of in a way?
It has definitely showed me not how to act, like Malik Ali has stated. But I kind of definitely gives you a different aspect of what it's like in some areas of the states.
Gives you perspective.
Perspective. Yeah. But a kind of aspect of what kind of characters. Because let's be honest, a lot of those that's southern, they're down south. You're going to have a lot of...
Yeah. So if you want to see like bold characters on a TV show, this is the show for you. And for you, it's kind of...
and I think what it showed me is kind of keep it real to yourself, but don't overhound. And from that, I think the show's definitely created great moments. And I would definitely go back and recommend it to fellow people I know.
All right. Well, I mean, that's kind of all the questions and topics I had for you guys. I want to thank you guys for being on. And,
I want to thank you to yours truly, and sponsored by Buzz Central.
Buzz Central Entertainment. Braedyn as a company is plugging, so we'll throw that in there. We'll put that out. Make sure the people hear about it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for your time. That's been the first episode of Your First Choice.